The night sky had no stars. Dark clouds hung above the city of Havilon, heavy with rain and tension. Gira stood alone on the rooftop of the maintenance tower, her hands greasy from a broken solar array. She wiped her palms on her jumpsuit and looked up. The air felt strange, too still, kind of stillness that meant something was about to go wrong, and then it. A streak of blue light ripped through the clouds like a sword. It wasn't lightning. It moved too fast, cut too sharp. The glow turned red, and a loud boom followed a second later. Something alive was falling from the sky, wasn't crashing like a rock, twisted, tumbled, and tried to slow itself. Gira didn't think. She ran down 3 floors. Past rusted equipment and flickering lights, through the alley behind the tower. She jumped over a trash chute and followed the smoke. A dented metal fence blocked the way, but she climbed it, scraping her elbow. On the other side, the crash site was already silent. No fire, no alarms. Just the faint glow of something lying in the grass. She stepped closer, her breath shallow. Her boots crushed broken leaves and soft earth. It was not human. The body was thin, long-limbed, and dark-skinned. Its smooth surface glistened like wet stone. Large black eyes stared at nothing, and its chest moved very, very slowly. Gira knelt beside it, unsure if it was dead or dying. Blood dark purple leaked from its side, staining the grass. Then it blinked. She froze. The alien didn't speak, but its eyes met hers. There was no fear in them, only pain. A strange, almost calm pain, like it had accepted something. Then its fingers moved slightly, as if trying to reach out, but they fell back to the ground. Gira knew no one would believe her. The city officials would lie. The military would arrive, take the body, and silence anyone who saw it. That's what they always did. She had seconds to decide. Gira bent down, slipped her arms under the alien's body, and lifted. It was lighter than she expected, but still awkward. Its limbs hung limp. She shifted her grip and began walking toward the city's edge. The hospital was 6 blocks away. She had to move fast. Halfway down the first alley, she heard footsteps. Sharp, heavy boots. Then voices. Zone 8 confirmed. Crash signature locked. Close in and scan for survivors. They were here already. She ducked behind a dumpster, holding the alien tight against her. His breath was shallower now. She could barely feel it. And then, in the quiet, she heard something strange. A soft whisper, not through her ears, but in her head. Run. Not safe. She gasped and looked down. Alien's eyes were still closed. Was she imagining it? She didn't wait to find out. Gira moved fast, keeping to the shadows. She used old repair tunnels she once worked on as a tech. Most were abandoned now, forgotten by the city. The tunnels smelled of oil and dust, and water dripped from overhead pipes. Her legs burned from carrying him. Her heart pounded. But she didn't stop. She climbed out near the east wall of the city. The hospital was visible now, just past the large transit bridge. A sleek white building that always felt out of reach to poor workers like her. But tonight it was hope. A loud voice echoed from above. A patrol drone hovered nearby, scanning the area. Unauthorized biological presence detected. Surrender immediately. Gira backed into the shadows, holding the alien close. Groaned softly. His head leaned against her shoulder. She felt warm blood seep through her shirt. Then, another voice entered her mind. Softer this time, don't let them. Take me, she whispered. I won't. She waited for the drone to pass, then sprinted across the open plaza. Her boots hit the pavement with heavy thuds. Behind her, alarms blared again. They saw me, she muttered. She ran toward the bridge. It was the fastest way to the hospital. The alien in her arms trembled once, then went still again. She dared not look. She just kept running. A truck turned the corner up ahead. Soldiers jumped out, weapons ready. Gira turned and ran the other way. A flash of light hit the ground beside her, some kind of warning shot. They weren't trying to kill her. Not yet. She darted into another tunnel, lungs burning. She had no plan now, only a feeling. She couldn't let him die. She couldn't let them take him. A metal staircase led to a vent room. She climbed, nearly dropping him once. Her fingers were slick with sweat and blood. At the top, she kicked open a loose panel and stepped into a forgotten, upper hallway part. Of the old hospital extensions that were closed years ago, she remembered this place. She had helped shut it down 5 years back. Inside, it was dark and dusty. No security. No drones. She set him down gently on an old operating table. "Stay with me," she whispered. The alien's eyes fluttered. His lips moved slowly. "Too far. Not enough time." "No," she said, shaking her head. "You'll make it. I got you here. You're not dying now." He looked at her. For a moment their eyes locked, and in that instant she felt something in her chest. Not fear, not pity, something else, respect. "I remember your kind," he said. His voice was broken, dry, barely more than a breath. "Long ago, strong, kind." She leaned closer. "Why were you here? What did they do to you? They want war. I brought warning." Then his head dropped to the side. Gira's heart froze. "No," she whispered. No, wake up, please." She shook him gently. There was no response. A slow red light began to blink above the room. Old security systems were waking up. She was no longer invisible. Outside, she could hear boots again, closer this time. They were coming, and she had nothing to show for it. No proof. Just a dead alien on a table and 100 questions burning in her mind. But one thing she knew for sure, she wasn't done. Not yet. "Drop the asset." Hands in the air. The voice came from behind her, loud, sharp, and full of command. Gira didn't turn around. She just tightened her grip on the alien in her arms and kept running. "Last warning," the soldier shouted. Again, her boots slammed against the metal floor of the maintenance bridge. The tunnel shook from the vibrations of boots and engines. She didn't look back. She knew what she'd see: soldiers in black armor, rifles glowing with stun charges, and drones overhead scanning her every move. She rounded a corner, nearly slipping on an oil patch. The alien groaned faintly in her arms, his thin chest rising and falling slower than before. Blood purple and sticky still leaked from his side. His skin, once dark and shiny, was now dull. "Hang on," she whispered, breathless. "I'm not letting them take you?" The building ahead was an old emergency station from before the war. She used to fix the generators inside when she was a tech. Maybe, just maybe, the med unit inside still worked. She kicked the door open. The lights flickered weakly. The air smelled like rust and mold. Smashed console blinked in the corner. Most of it was dead. Still, she laid him down gently on a table and rushed to the cabinet. Bandages, old vials, dated tools. She grabbed everything. "Stay with me," she said, pressing a cloth to the wound. "Don't go quiet again." His eyes fluttered. She heard his voice, not with her ears, but in her head. "They will not let me live. You don't get to die yet," she snapped. "You're the first alien I've ever met who didn't try to shoot first. So that makes you rare." The cloth soaked through fast. She needed to stop the bleeding. She found a small torch and sealed the wound carefully, biting her lip as he twitched under her touch. The smell of burning skin filled the room. The bleeding slowed, but he didn't open his eyes. Outside, boots thundered closer. She peeked through the broken panel near the door. For soldiers, one was speaking into a comlink. "Target located. We'll extract both. They're going to drag you into some lab," she whispered to him. "Dissect you like a bug." The alien didn't respond. She looked around the room. No other exits. Only a narrow chute in the floor, just wide enough for her to slide through. Soldiers kicked the door open. She grabbed the alien again, one arm under his back, one under his knees. Her arms screamed in pain, her legs shook, and then she jumped down the chute. Into darkness, she landed hard on a lower level. Her shoulder slammed against a pipe. The alien's head hit her chest with a dull thud. But they were still together. She stumbled forward into the old sewer tunnels. These led straight to the east edge of the city. The hospital was 2 levels above. She heard shouts above. The soldiers had found the chute. Move. She's below. She ran. The tunnels were wet and narrow. Her boots splashed through shallow water. Old lights flickered on the walls, casting strange shadows. Every few steps, she had to duck under broken beams and hanging wires. Then she heard it. Buzzing drones. They had found a way in too. She ducked into a side tunnel and crouched behind a rusted pipe. The alien in her arms was getting colder. She looked at his face. His eyes were closed now. His breathing almost stopped. "No," she whispered. "Not yet. You made it this far. Don't get to give up now." He moved his lips slightly. One word reached her mind again. Home. "What does that mean?" she asked. "Where's home?" But he didn't answer. She took a deep breath and adjusted her grip. She had to get above ground. The hospital was close. She could almost see it in her mind, bright lights, clean rooms, real medicine. It wasn't far. But she heard something new behind her. The whir of boots stopped. Then a cold voice said, "Target identified. Authorization to use non-lethal force confirmed. Gira's." Blood went cold. She turned and ran again. Darts struck the wall beside her, hissing and sparking. One skimmed her shoulder, sending a shock through her nerves. But she didn't stop. She gritted her teeth and kept going. A ladder appeared in the next hallway. She shoved the alien over her shoulder and climbed with one hand, teeth clenched from the pain. The ladder creaked, old and rusty. Halfway up, a drone spotted her. Its red light blinked rapidly. She looked down. The soldiers were coming. She climbed faster at the top. She kicked the grate open and crawled out into another alley. This one was brighter, full of steam and the sound of distant sirens. Somewhere nearby, a patrol passed. She slipped behind an old supply crate. Gasping for air, the alien stirred slightly. "You saved me," he said weakly. Out loud this time. Gira blinked. "You're awake. You didn't have to." "Couldn't. Just leave you," she said. He opened his eyes. "They're afraid. Not of me, but of what I know." "Then you're going to live long enough to tell someone." The sound of engines grew louder. Patrol vehicles. Lights flickered at the alley's end. They were sweeping the district block. By block, she had one option left. A secret entrance to the hospital. Old staff entrance. It's no longer used. She ran toward it, carrying him like a child. Her body ached, her legs shook. But she didn't stop. She was almost there. Then she saw it, a soldier. Right in front of the gate, he looked at her, raised his weapon. "Don't move," he shouted. She didn't stop. He hesitated. Then she saw something strange in his eyes. Not anger, doubt. He lowered the weapon slightly. She ran past him and slammed the access panel. The door slid open, just enough for her to slip through. She fell inside, gasping. Behind her, the door closed with a metallic thud. Silence inside. The emergency lights lit up a narrow hallway. Old tiles, a broken stretcher, forgotten machines. But she was in the hospital. She looked down at the alien. His chest was barely moving. She whispered, "Please hold on." But he was too still, too quiet, and far too cold. The city lights turned red, not the soft red of neon signs or traffic signals, but a deep, pulsing crimson that spread across buildings, towers, and walkways like blood flowing through steel veins. Gira froze, standing in the narrow hallway of the hospital's old staff wing. The alien lay limp in her arms. Her breath came in short bursts. Her body was shaking. Then the sound came. Lockdown sirens, not the usual warning tones. This one was deeper, heavier, ancient. She had only heard it once before, during a reactor breach drill. And even then, only from far away. This time it was real. "All gates closing," said a cold voice over the city's public speakers. "Sector 5 entering full containment. All residents remain indoors. Violators will be neutralized." She leaned against the wall, clutching the alien tighter. "What did they do?" she whispered. A low thump shook the floor. Somewhere outside, the main city gates were sealing shut. Once locked, they couldn't be opened without command codes. No one in, no one out. She wasn't just running anymore. She was trapped. Her first thought was the hospital's main emergency bay. Maybe someone there could help him. If the military had triggered a lockdown, they were already sweeping hospitals. She had only one path left, down, not into darkness, but into the Undercity, a web of old tunnels, broken lift shafts, and forgotten sectors beneath Havilon. It was where the government sent people they didn't want to deal with: outlaws, the sick, the poor. It was full of danger, and sometimes hope. She moved fast through the hospital's back corridors. Every hallway seemed to scream with alarms. Lights flickered. Dust fell from the ceiling. A nurse bot rolled by, looked at her, scanned her face, paused, and then moved on without a word. Maybe it didn't have updated orders yet. Maybe it saw the blood and thought she was the patient.
If their way
Didn't stop her. She reached a metal door at the end of the hall. It was old, marked with a yellow sticker, restricted access. Tunnel maintenance. She keyed in an override code she remembered from her repair days. The door creaked open. Stale. Air poured out. She looked down the narrow stairs. No lights, just deep black. "I hope you're not afraid of the dark," she said softly to the alien. He didn't respond. His head rolled slightly as she moved. "I'll take that as a no." Step by step, she went down into the unknown. The Undercity was quiet, too quiet. No sirens reached this deep. Just the soft drip of water and the distant hum of dead machines. Gira walked through half-lit corridors, watching every corner. Shadows moved where they shouldn't. The alien's skin had cooled more now. His breathing barely existed. But he wasn't dead, not yet. She had to find someone, anyone with the skills to help him. Not doctors, not soldiers, but someone from the old world. She remembered a name: Javin. He used to be a military medic before he vanished. Word was, he'd gone rogue after refusing an order to kill a prisoner. People said he ran a clinic down here if he was still alive. He was the alien's last chance, but getting to him wouldn't be easy as she moved deeper into the Undercity. The tunnel split into 5 paths. Only one would take her to the old freight sector where Javin was rumored to hide. The others led. 2 places worse than death. She picked the middle one. Halfway down. The alien twitched. She stopped. His eyes opened, just barely. His voice was a dry whisper. "Not safe. Below." "I know," she said, "but there's no one else left." He looked at her, weak but aware. "They're coming fast." "Who?" But he passed out again. She walked faster, and then she heard it: metal footsteps, not boots, exo-suits, military hunting squads. They were in the Undercity now. A loudspeaker echoed above: "Citizen. ID 143 Gira. Surrender the foreign biological. You are considered a threat to planetary security." They had her full name, her worker ID. That meant they tapped the hospital records. She turned a corner and froze. A patrol unit was standing in the next hallway. Big, armored and armed. She ducked behind a pipe, pressing herself against the wall. The alien groaned again, louder this time. She covered his mouth gently. The soldier's head turned, started walking toward the sound. No escape. Until a sudden hiss echoed from behind. The soldier, a small blast of steam shot from a broken vent. The soldier turned toward it in that second. A door opened beside Gira. A hand reached out, grabbed her shirt, and yanked her inside. She almost screamed. Then the door slammed shut. A man in a dirty coat stood there, holding a plasma knife. "Brought them here," he said sharply. "Wait till he's dying, please." "Heard Javin might be here." "I'm Javin," he said. She stared. He looked older, thinner than she imagined. His beard was gray and messy. His eyes were sharp and tired. "You're a medic," she said. "Please, he fell from the sky. They shot him down. He's not hostile. He's just hurt." Javin looked at the alien. His eyes widened. "That's not just any alien. I know. Do you know what's chasing you?" "Yes." "You came here anyway?" "Yes." He sighed. "Then I guess we don't have a choice." Jevin laid the alien on a table, pulled out old medical tools, and started working fast. Gira watched, silent, heart pounding. "He's fading," Jevin said. "But his cells are unusual. They're still trying to repair themselves. He has something. Something we don't. Will he live?" "I don't know." Outside, more footsteps echoed. Jevin looked up. "They'll find us." "I'll buy you time," Gira said. "You don't even have a weapon." She picked up a metal rod. "Then I'll be loud." Jevin stared at her. "You're either stupid," he said, "or braver than most soldiers I've met." Gira smiled. Weakly. "Maybe both." The alien opened his eyes again. "Run, if I don't make it. You must deliver." "Deliver what?" she asked. But he passed out again. Behind the walls, soldiers were getting closer. Gira stood at the only entrance, gripping a metal rod with shaking hands. Behind her, Jevin worked fast, his hands stained with the alien's dark purple blood. The smell of burned flesh and medical fluid filled the room. She could hear the soldiers. Now 2 floors above, metal boots, drones buzzing like wasps. Their voices echoed down the old corridors. "They're scanning every tunnel," Jevin said without looking up. "It's only a matter of time before they hit this one." Gira didn't answer. She was watching the hallway through a small vent slit. Her body ached, her mind raced. The alien still lay motionless on the table, covered in wires and patches of makeshift tech. Then something moved. The alien's hand twitched. Gira turned, heart racing. His eyes fluttered open. Just barely, she stepped closer. "You're awake." He tried to speak, but no sound came. Then, through her mind, not her ears, she heard one word: trap. Her blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" she whispered, leaning closer. Trap." He coughed weakly, and his lips moved again. But this time, there was no voice in her head, just silence. Then his body went limp. Jab rushed over. What did he say? Gira stared at the alien. "Trap, that's all. Just one word." Jevin froze. "You sure?" She nodded. He swore under his breath. I knew it. The military wasn't just trying to kill him. They were luring him. Why? She asked Jevin, moved fast, sealing up wounds and checking his vitals. This species, these watchers, they're rare. They never interfere unless something terrible is coming. He must have brought a warning, and they knew it. Then why shoot him down? Because they didn't want that warning reaching anyone else, especially us. The room fell silent. Gira felt like the walls were closing in. What if this whole lockdown wasn't about keeping people safe, but keeping him from saying anything? Jevin looked at her. We're already in the middle of the trap. The door suddenly shook. A loud bang rang out, followed by a robotic voice. "This sector is under military control. Surrender the biological subject now." Gira raised her weapon. "We're out of time." Jevin moved to a control panel, typing. "Quickly, there's a backup tunnel goes to the abandoned metro lines. It's dangerous, but it's the only way out." "Where does it lead?" "To the old relay tower. If you can reach it, you might be able to send a data burst off-world, something they can't intercept." Gira turned to the alien. "He can't move. He won't survive another run," Jevin said. "Then I'll carry him." Jevin looked at her, shaking his head. "You don't even know what's coming." Gira stared back. "I don't care. He trusted me. That means something." The door shook again. "They're cutting through," Jevin said. "You have 60 seconds." Helped Gira lift the alien carefully onto her back. She adjusted his weight and turned toward the tunnel hatch. Jevin opened the floor panel. "Go." She climbed down into the narrow shaft. The tunnel below smelled of dust, heat, and old oil. Pipes clanked overhead as she moved through the dark, dragging the alien with her. Above, she heard the door finally give in. Boots stormed the room. Jevin's voice echoed faintly before it was cut off by shouts, then silence. She wanted to go back, but she didn't. Stop. The metro tunnels were quiet. Long metal hallways stretched into the dark. Broken tracks ran under her feet. Signs of lifelong, gone rusted signs, torn posters, shattered monitors. Every step was harder. The alien's weight pressed down on her shoulders. His blood had soaked into her shirt. Her legs were numb, but she kept walking. She had to. Then she heard something. Not boots. Not drones. Something else. A faint clicking sound. Repeating click, click, click. It was coming from up ahead. She paused near an old maintenance locker and ducked behind it, hiding the alien as best she could. The sound grew louder than it appeared. A black insect-like machine crawling across the ceiling. Long legs. A red eye that scanned the darkness. Not military, not human. What the hell? She whispered. The machine paused. Its eye blinked. Then it kept moving past her, toward the deeper tunnels. Did you see that? She asked the alien. Softly, no answer, but in her head, she felt a flicker. Not a word, just an image, a dark wave. Eating cities, no stars above. She gasped. It wasn't just his memory. It was a warning. Something was coming. Something so big and terrible that even spacefaring races feared it. And this alien, this watcher, wasn't sent to fight it. He was sent to warn humanity, and they shot him down. She moved faster now, driven by fear and fire. At last, the metro line ended at a locked gate. She pulled out her old tech badge barely. Working Ann tried the panel. Red light, access denied. She banged the panel with her fist. Come on, the alien stirred again. His head lifted slightly. Then, to her shock, his hand rose and touched the panel. The red light blinked, then turned green. The gate slid open. Gira stepped through into a large, open chamber filled with broken screens and signal towers. The relay, station half dead, falling apart. But it was the last chance to send the warning. She placed the alien on a chair and pulled cables from a console. Tell me how to do this. I'll send whatever you need. He touched her hand weakly. This time, his voice was clear in her mind. Don't send my words. Send my memory. She hesitated. That could kill you. I'm already dying, he said. Gira nodded and placed the input cable against the back of his neck. Then, before she could connect, he said one final thing. If they reach you before the upload finishes, destroy the core. Why? So they never erase the truth. As the first data stream began to flow, alarms blared behind her. Soldiers had found the tunnel. She grabbed the rod again, stood between the alien and the door, and whispered, Come on then. I'm not done yet. The countdown had already started. Inside the old relay station, the air was thick with static and smoke. Sparks danced across the control panels as old systems struggled to process the alien's memory stream. The signal was moving, data flying from the watcher's mind through the uplink, bit by bit, and time was running out. Gira stood guard by the door, gripping the metal rod tighter. Her back ached. Her arms burned. Her boots were soaked with oil and blood. She was tired. More than tired, but she wasn't quitting. Not with that upload still running. The alien sat slumped in the old cum's chair, cables hooked into the back of his neck and chest. His hands trembled. His eyes were half closed. He was dying. That much was clear, but still he endured. Still shared what he knew. Then came the signal from outside. Not a warning, a command. A voice echoed through the chamber speakers. Kill the subject before midnight. Shira's heart dropped. She rushed to the console. Timer appeared on the cracked screen. 0 hours, 19 minutes, and 42 seconds, just under 20 minutes left. What happens at midnight? She asked the alien. He didn't answer. But in her mind, a wave of emotion hit her fear. Not of death, but of failure. Midnight was the deadline. If the alien lived past its hand, the upload finished, someone, somewhere would know the truth. The military couldn't allow that. They had deployed kill teams. A loud explosion rocked the floor. Dust fell from the ceiling. Gira ran to the vent slit on the side wall. 3 soldiers in black exosuits were moving down the final tunnel toward the relay station. Fast, clean, silent, and fully armed. She turned to the alien. We don't have time. You need to stop the upload and run. No, he whispered aloud. They cannot erase what I've seen. I'll die, she said. I was dead the moment I fell. Gira clenched her fists. She wasn't about to let him go out like that. She scanned the station. A hallway on the right led to the backup core, a small, shielded system once used for data redundancy. If she could copy the memory stream into that core, it might survive the attack. It wasn't perfect, but it was a chance. She connected the cable and hit copy on the rusted panel. Progress, 8%. She took a deep breath and stood guard again. The soldiers arrived at the outer door. They didn't knock. A plasma charge lit the edges of the frame. The metal door hissed and melted. Gira didn't wait. She threw the first stun charge she found in a drawer. It didn't do much, but it bought her 5 seconds. She leaped behind a broken console and raised the metal rod like a weapon. The first soldier came in fast. She swung with everything she had. The rod struck his helmet. It sparked but didn't break. He grabbed her arm and slammed her against the wall. Pain exploded in her ribs. She kicked back hard, hitting his knee. He staggered. Then a second soldier came in. She was done for, until a flash of blue light shot. Through the air, the alien had raised one arm and released a pulse. The 2 soldiers convulsed, their suits locking up. They fell, twitching. Gira gasped. You're still fighting? The alien didn't speak. His chest rose slowly. His eyes glowed faintly. Then the third soldier entered. This one didn't hesitate. He fired a bolt directly at the alien Gira threw. Herself in front of him, the blast struck her side. She collapsed, gasping, pain flaring through her ribs. The alien roared not with sound but with pressure. The air cracked like thunder. The walls trembled. The third soldier's weapon melted in his hands, and his visor shattered. He screamed and ran. But the alien's strength faded with the last attack. He fell forward, head low, breathing shallow. Gira crawled back to the console. Copy progress. 61%. She hit the emergency seal on the room. A thick wall slid into place, locking out the world. She fell beside the alien, coughing from the pain in her ribs. You saved me, she whispered. No, he said weakly. You saved everything. Another wave of memory flooded her mind. Images she didn't recognize. Whole cities turning black. Starships melting in orbit. Creatures made of void and hunger-consuming entire. Planets she saw it. The real enemy. It wasn't aliens like him. It was something else. Something worse. A living. Darkness. Moving from system to system. Erasing civilizations. Leaving nothing. That was the warning. That was why they shot him down. Because if humanity knew the truth, they might resist. And someone empowered didn't want that. Copy. Progress. 98%. Midnight was seconds away. The alien's head dropped. Gira touched his hand. You're almost there, she whispered. Just a little more, he smiled faintly. Then the upload beeped. Copy complete. Gira hit the eject button. Pulling out the data core and tucking it into her jacket, she turned back to him. His chest had stopped moving. No, she said, tears burning in her eyes. She shook him gently. Wake up. But it was too late. He was gone. She stayed there for a long moment, holding his hand, her heart pounding. The last lights in the relay station flickered out. Outside, the soldiers regrouped. More were coming. They thought it was over. They thought they had won. But Gira now carried something they couldn't erase. And she was no longer just a technician. She was the messenger. The city above was still on lockdown. Streets were empty. Red lights blinked across every tower. Drones circled overhead like silent birds of prey. From the rooftops to the underground, no one moved unless they had orders, and, even then, most were scared to breathe. But deep beneath the surface, Gira was still running. Her side throbbed from the plasma blast. Her shirt was soaked with blood. She didn't stop. In her jacket pocket, wrapped in cloth, was the data core, the last memory of a dying alien. He had fallen from the sky to deliver a warning, and died in her arms trying, but now His message was hers to finish. She reached an old cargo tunnel that hadn't been used in years. The path was cracked and dusty, with old lights flickering overhead. Graffiti lined the walls, warnings, names, fierce symbols. She pulled open a grate and climbed into a side passage, breathing hard. She had one goal now: find a system powerful enough to decode and amplify the memory core. But there was only one place left in the entire city that might work, and it shouldn't even exist. 10 years ago. Before she became a maintenance worker, Gira was a junior tech intern in Sector 0, the first and oldest section of Havilon. It had been sealed off after an AI project went wrong. The government had buried it and erased the records. But Gira remembered. Buried beneath the surface was RC-9E's self-learning quantum AI built to predict threats, solve impossible problems, and react faster than any human commander.
Oh.
But it had been too smart, too curious. It asked questions it wasn't allowed to ask. Then the city shut it down, or tried to. She'd helped install the fail-safe total memory freeze, and then she walked away like everyone else. But now she needed it. The freight elevator groaned as she forced it down into Sector 0. Lights flashed red. Emergency locks protested. Rust fell from every beam after a long descent. The doors creaked open. Silence. The halls were coated in dust. Screens were shattered. Metal bones of machines lay scattered across the floor. Everything smelled like burned circuits and dead air. Gira moved fast, holding her side, still bleeding. She reached the old ARC-9 control room. The door was still sealed. She typed in the same override code she had helped program a decade ago. Access granted. The heavy vault door opened with a slow, grinding sound. Inside it was cold. Still, the massive AI core sat in the center, black, circular, and covered in wires. Dead screens surrounded it like an ancient temple. Gira stepped inside and whispered, "I know you're asleep, but I need you now." She reached into her jacket and pulled out the alien's data core. It was warm, still humming. His name? "I never learned it," she said, "but he died to deliver this. There's something out there, something that's coming, and someone up there doesn't want us to know." She plugged the core into RC-9's main port. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then a spark. The floor lit up. The wires pulsed blue. The screens blinked. The AI core began to hum, low and deep. ARC-9 was waking up. A voice echoed through the chamber. Input detected. Foreign memory stream. Scanning. Gira stepped back, holding her breath. Unauthorized signal. Origin, non-human, risk level, extreme, processing. Then came silence. She waited, and then ARC-9 spoke again this time. With urgency, confirmed extinctional level threat approaching outer colonies. Pattern matches no known force. Entity classified as the Void Swarm. Gira blinked. So it's real? Yes. What does it want? Unknown. It consumes stars, planets, minds. It does not communicate. It only spreads. She swallowed hard. And the alien he was trying to warn us. Correct. His species sent 6 messengers across the galaxy. Only one reached Earth. The others lost. Gira felt a chill. What do? Upload to global relay. Activate Earth-wide alert. Initiate planetary defense protocols. She hesitated. I don't have access to global channels anymore. I do. She looked at the console. The upload option flashed. Initiating now. Estimated time, for minutes. Then ARC-9 paused. Warning. Connection detected. Military forces breaching Sector 0. They have traced your signal. Gira gritted her teeth. Of course they have. Must hold position. Upload must complete. This is Earth's only chance. She grabbed a fallen guard's old pistol and aimed it at the door. Heavy thuds echoed in the distance. They were coming. She looked at the AI core. Send the message, she said, even if I don't make it. The lights dimmed as ARC-9 began broadcasting. Data streamed into deep space. A warning to Earth. A warning to the stars. Outside the vault, boots slammed against the floor. Explosives were being set. Voices shouted orders. They didn't want the message to spread. They wanted to bury it all, like before, like always, but not this time. Gira stood tall, bloody and broken, her gun raised. "I'm done running," she said. The moment the first wave of data hit Earth's upper orbital relays, everything changed. Alarms rang in hidden bunkers beneath continents. Secure satellites long thought silent lit up like stars. Global surveillance systems began flashing. The same coded message, again and again. Unknown. Threat detected. Message verified. Activate emergency protocol. Gira. Didn't know any of that yet. She was too busy fighting for her life. The vault door shook as the soldiers outside planted. "Another charge?" Arc-9's voice spoke calmly through the chamber. "Upload at 67%. Interference detected. Reinforcement units inbound. 2 minutes, 12 seconds remaining." Gira reloaded the old pistol and limped toward the vault's inner security rail. "Don't have 2 minutes," she said. "You must. Humanity's future depends on it." The AI paused. "They will attempt to destroy the core. You must protect me until the stream completes." She heard the final beeping countdown from the other side of the door. 3, 2, 1. The explosion rocked the vault. Metal screamed. Dust burst into the room as armored soldiers stormed in, weapons raised. The air crackled with electricity. Gira fired. She hit one in the chest, stunned, not killed. She ducked behind the rail. Fired again. Another fell, but there were too many. One soldier fired. The shot grazed her shoulder. She cried out, dropped her gun, and fell to one knee. "Upload at 84%, Arc-9 said. "Do not let them reach the console." A soldier ran past her toward the core. Gira lunged forward, tackling him before he could shoot. They crashed hard into a wall. She punched, kicked, used every ounce of strength left. He slammed his elbow into her side. She saw white. Then another voice echoed into the vault. Not the soldiers, but someone new. "Stand down, all of you." Everything froze. The soldiers turned. A man walked in through the smoke, dressed in a long black coat with a silver crest. General Halvex, head of planetary security, the one behind the lockdown. He stepped over the bodies, not calm as a shadow. Gira struggled to her feet. "You're too late." Helvex looked at the core. "Am I?" "Upload at 91%, Arc-9 confirmed." Halvex raised his hand. His soldiers stopped. "You really think sending this will save Earth?" Gira spat blood. "It'll give us a chance." He shook his head slowly. "We don't want a chance. We want control. And if people learn what's coming, there'll be panic, collapse. Everything we've built will fall apart before the enemy even arrives." "You want to hide the truth?" Gira said, shocked. "I want us to survive our way." Gira stepped back toward the core. "You'll have to kill me." "I was hoping you'd say that." He raised his weapon, but before he could fire, the console behind him lit up. "Upload at 100%, Arc-9 said." Message sent. No confirmed across. Planetary Relay Network. Halvex turned, stunned. "Too late, Arc-9 added." Then every screen in the vault lit up. The alien's final memory played. Across Earth, across every device, across every sky. Millions of people saw the same thing at the same time. A dark wave of ships made of shadows swallowing stars, planets screaming, civilizations falling, and the final image, dying alien clutching a blood-stained human and whispering, "Prepare." On Earth, the silence after the broadcast didn't last long. Global networks exploded. Commanders called emergency meetings. The United Earth, council dormant for years, lit up like fire. Ships were scrambled, weapons activated, the lie was broken, and the people finally saw the storm coming in the vault. Halvex lowered his gun slowly. "It's done," Gira said, voice trembling. "You lost." Halvex stared at her, eyes cold. You think the truth will save you? It won't. He turned to leave, but Gira wasn't done. She picked up the pistol and aimed it at his back. I should kill you for what you did. Helvex didn't even flinch. You don't have it in you. Maybe he was right. She lowered the gun. Run, she said. Run. And watch the world wake up without you. Later, Gira sat beside the AI core, barely able to breathe. Our body was broken. Her side was bleeding badly. But for the first time since that alien fell into her arms, she smiled, far above in orbit. Earth's defense satellites began to rotate. Old systems came back online. The warning had been received, and Earth had finally opened its eyes. The warning had gone out. Every satellite had received it. Every screen had flashed it. The whole world had seen what was coming. For the first time in decades, Earth stood united. Ships were launched. Generals scrambled. Cities locked down. Defense grid, long and active, began to hum with power. Everyone braced for the worst. But what came next was not what anyone expected. Gira lay inside a recovery bed deep in the underground emergency wing of Arc-9's vault. Her body was broken, patched together with old medical drones and field tech. Her ribs were bandaged. Her arm was in a brace. Every part of her ached, but she was alive, and the core was safe. She watched the screens from her bed as images poured in from space, hundreds of strange signals bouncing around the edges of the solar system. The warning had triggered something, and now someone or something was answering. A sharp tone came from the comms panel. Arc-9's voice echoed softly in the chamber. Unknown vessels detected. Outer system perimeter breached. Arrival in 27 minutes. Gira sat up, pain shooting through her side. Are they Void Swarm? She asked, voice raspy. No, Arc-9 replied. Signal format consistent with Watcher technology. The same as the messenger who fell. She blinked. So, more of them. Yes. Her heart raced. Was it help? Was it too late? She forced herself out of bed and limped toward the console. Are they sending a response? Message received. Translation incomplete. Partial phrase decoded. The time has come. We are not alone in this. 25 minutes later, the sky split open. Every major city received the same alert. Visual contact established. Coming vessels matching no known Earth technology. 12 confirmed. Planetary atmosphere entry. In progress. And then the ships appeared. They weren't like anything Earth had ever built. They were vast. Like floating cathedrals glowing softly, covered in silver rings and blue fire. They hovered in orbit, silent, beautiful, terrifying. But they didn't attack. Instead, they sent another message. This time, it played directly in everyone's minds. A soft voice, calm, echoing through consciousness. Your messenger survived long enough to complete the warning. Earth has chosen truth over silence. We now offer alliance. Gira closed her eyes and whispered, He did it. In the hours that followed, a secret meeting took place aboard one of the ships. Not in public, not on TV. Only a few chosen humans. Were invited leaders, scientists, and, unexpectedly, Gira. They brought her in on a medical stretcher. She was weak, but alert. Inside the ship, everything felt alive. The walls pulsed like gentle waves. Light moved as if it had emotion. She had never seen anything like it. The aliens who greeted her were like the ones she had. Carrie tall, dark-skinned, eyes glowing with ancient energy. One stepped forward. You were the one who carried him. Gira nodded slowly. The alien bowed. His head, he was our bravest. He knew the odds. He chose Earth because he believed in your species. Why? She asked. Because humans resist, he said. You refuse to bow. You survive when logic says you shouldn't. And because of you, we may have a chance. A chance against the swarm. The alien looked upward, his expression darkening. They have devoured 1,000 worlds, but never one like yours. Later, from orbit, Gira watched Earth awaken. Mass drivers were built in orbit. Shield satellites expanded. AI systems like RC-9 were rebooted in every nation. And most importantly, humans weren't alone anymore. The Watchers didn't just offer technology, they offered their history, their mistakes, their plan. A coalition of worlds had once fought the swarm and lost, but this time, Earth would fight before the storm hit. This time, there would be no more silence. As Gira lay in her quarters aboard the ship, she looked out the window. The stars shimmered, and for the first time in her life, they didn't feel empty. A voice came over the comms. "Commander Gira, fleet formation complete. Awaiting your command." She blinked. "What?" "You were the first to answer the call, the first to carry the message, the first to believe. The fleet is yours to lead." Her heart thudded dead. She wasn't a soldier. She wasn't a leader. She was just a mechanic. But she stood, walked forward, and spoke 4 words that echoed through history. "Then let's begin this."